1931. Japan invades Manchuria. 1940. Japan occupies French Indochina. Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. 1941. Japan invades the Philippines, Hong Kong, Malaya, Singapore, and numerous islands in the Pacific. 1941. December 7th. Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, promoting the United States to enter the war. The movie called In This Corner of the World by Snow Katabuchi shows the experience of Japanese civilians during the war.
もう書いてね。
不発弾のロート砲はかなり小さく、最近の民防空戦訓速報によれば敵は投下爆弾の一部に。
危ない、はるみちゃん。
Japanese civilians experienced the effects of wartime, rationing, bombing, and the loss of loved ones. The sadness of losing loved ones in the war creates hatred. She knew better than anyone that this was not their fault, and that was why she had no choice but to vent her feelings on others.
あんたがついておりながら。
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、はるみさん。ごめんなさい、お姉さん。
人殺し。
やめえ、ケイコ。
はるみを返せ。そろそろ。
My name is Hiroyo Dixon. I was born 25 years after World War II. I heard this story from my grandmother. あれは日本の終戦記念日8月15日に私は祖母から戦争のことを聞きました。祖父は兵隊の偉い人で戦場には行ってなかったそうです。祖母のいたところは直接爆弾は落とされていませんでしたが、日々のサイレンが鳴っていたそうです。町にはいられなかったので、田舎に家族バラバラになって疎開したそうです。そして戦後、家族が無事に一緒に住めることになりましたが、戦後何も食べるものがなく、道に生えている草などを食べていたそうです。白米はとても貴重で、なかなか食べる機会がありませんでした。祖母の子供の一人はその戦後の食料不足で悪いものを食べ、お腹を壊して亡くなったそうです。
The war disrupted daily life, causing shortages of food, fuel, and other essential resources, leading to hardships for many families. Rashomon is a landmark Japanese film directed by Akira Kurosawa, released in 1950.
何ですてめえこそ何をするんだ。なんてひどいこと。ひどい。どっちみちこの着物は誰かが履いてくるに決まってる。俺が持ってくるのはなぜ悪い。
The film explores the theme of truth, perspection, and the nature of human behavior. A guy on the right side stole a kimono from a baby, and these two men are arguing what's morally right and wrong.
おい、あの女の担当はどうしたんだ。螺鈿をちりばめた見事な仕業と多条丸も言っていた。あの担当はどこ行ったんだ。草の中に落ちたまま消えちまったというのか。おい、てめえが盗まねえで誰が盗むんだ。そのくせに盗と呼ばれや、それこそてめえがやってというもんだ。
The baby represents something important, something that we have to protect, which is our country. Some people don't even care about it. Some people care.
나는 この顔から裸まではむつもりか。足のところには子供が6人いる。しかし6人育てるも7人育てるも同じ苦労だ。私は恥ずかしいことを言ってしまったようだな。無理もねえ。今日という今日、人を疑らずにいられるはずがねえ。お主のおかげで私は人を信じていくことができそうだ。とんでもねえ。
Priest trusted this guy for a baby's life in the future. The big decision that he made. If this baby was a country, who do we trust? And how are we gonna make it better? Many countries after the war had to make the decision to step forward from this big war that destroyed all the countries in the world.
Post-colonialism, the historical period or state of affairs representing the aftermath of Western colonialism. It's defined as a political or cultural position of a former colony. Although not true in all cases, post-colonialism can be a country's push factor as it tends to come in the form of violent or bad living conditions that people want to escape from. In cases where violence isn't an aspect of post-colonial life, they end up with a deep-rooted part of their colonizer's life to be integrated into their daily lives.
My name is Enku Patrick, Enku Nkrumah Patrick, and I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, in Trinidad and Tobago. I came to the US because one, my brother had applied to college the year before in the US. I got accepted at Harvard, so I at least knew how the college admissions kind of portal went, and how it how everything in terms of recruitment for squash compared to just general application to college was, and my dad also went to school at Penn State, so It was more of a opportunity for myself to play squash at a high level, which I was already kind of playing at when I was younger, but also to get an opportunity to study at a very top school, which I was afforded to based off of my CAPE results, which is basically A-levels.
Came looking ready to face the challenge. Some came with parents, some alone. Pictures were taken as parents tried to keep up their child's spirits. Some gave last advice with beaming demeanors. This is the day of the Secondary Exam Assessment, or SEA, when children take the test which will determine at which secondary school they will spend their next 5 years.
I think here it's truly more of the theoretical part, where they really, or professors really try to get you to understand as a whole what you're doing, and in terms of with respect to every other sort of discipline or disciplines, but even within the class or within the subject that you're taking, compared to like back home in Trinidad, it was very much of just trying to help you basically understand the material that you were given. So I can go into more detail in terms of, it was truly of, let's just say, I need to add 2 plus 2. It was just understanding what 2 is, and it is equal to 4. So like really kind of like understanding the material or knowing how to do the material rather than understanding the concept of the material. So it has its good and its bad. I think back home it was a little bit, I think sometimes just knowing what to do or how to do the material itself, especially in the subject that I did was math, it was helpful in terms of at least I got a basic understanding of how to do these different types of problems, but I mean, so understood exactly what those problems were for, or how it applied to regular life or to other subjects, compared to like when I came to US. It felt like I had a better knowledge point in terms of what I knew in terms of my math compared to the rest, but it felt like other students were a bit more open-minded in terms of understanding the material, and I think in the long run was able to kind of acquire the total understanding of the material a lot quicker than I did strictly from just understanding the concepts rather than understanding or knowing how to do the material itself. So it has its drawbacks, but I think it also had its part to play in terms of my overall education.
Okay. What was your first reaction to the education system?
It wasn't a big shock. I think where I came from, we do a pretty good job at kind of having the different sort of sectors and professors and subjects that you usually do here in the US. So in terms of the materials itself or anything like that, I think it was pretty straightforward. I think more so it was kind of like a little bit of a culture shock in terms of just like how to interact with American people compared to Trinidadian people. I think Trinidadian people are a little bit more just kind of engaging and outwards and has a little bit more freedom in terms of how they speak and how they act, compared to, it felt like the US, it was a little bit more reserved and a little bit more introverted. Obviously there are some people who are extroverted, but I felt like in the most part I need to kind of adapt how I usually was not necessarily to fit other people, but to at least get in the door and then perhaps become more myself as time moved on.
What was the hardest part about leaving your country?
I probably should say my parents, but it was fun to kind of get away for the past how much years I've been here. But I think it might just be, I think it's the culture. Trinidad has like a very specific culture in terms of like the food that we eat, the songs that we sing, the songs that we listen to, how people interact, the type of personalities that you come across every day compared to America. I think obviously it's much bigger, like massively bigger than my small twin island. So I think it was just different types of people and different types of personalities that you might not have probably interacted with at the start or at the start of my years in Trinidad. So I think it's really more of the culture adapting compared to everything else.
And finally, if your country, well, not if your country, do you think your country was affected by colonial and or post-colonialism? And if so, do you think the textbooks here do it justice?
I think American history that is taught in America is truly more American history. Like there's obviously some ties with other countries that has helped America to kind of be where they're at, and there's a few or maybe a bit more more facts and figures in books about those particular countries, but I think for the most part it is very much American driven. So I do not think there is much external sort of concepts and historical facts that from especially since I've been on squash buses that I've seen the kids learn. My country was 100% definitely affected by colonialism. I think English were in Trinidad for over 50 to 75 years. So it also played a big part in terms of myself, in terms of the sport that I play, because without English colonization, there probably won't be squash courts back home. I probably wouldn't have known squash, but yeah, like it felt like it's effective as colonialism does. It probably had a bit of a purpose at the start, but then I think after a few years from my history books in Trinidad, it kind of felt like they were trying to really exploit the resources that were part of Trinidad rather than just trying to coexist or trying to kind of be part of Trinidad rather than making Trinidad an English colony. So it was great that we had our independence, I think, in 1962, and since then, obviously there's still some English heritage and some English history still within Trinidad, but it's not as vibrant or it's not as prolific as it is now compared to when it was when we didn't have independence. So.
Your girlfriend's favorite DJ, DJ Ramon.
Lift up the thing if you